Hi,
Okay.
Darren.
Hello, Thar.
Thanks for coming to this.
Our second validation meeting.
Yeah. So this will be for the unit FSKOCM07, interact effectively with others at work.
Yes, it
So,
is on the assessment plan.
Yep. So I just want you, before we go through the validation, I just want you to go through that with a fresh eye.
Sure.
Just pretend that you imagine that you're a learner or
Yes.
someone, and see if you can make out, understand.
Sure. So I can see here from the assessment plan that it's quite clear. There's the RTO, the date, the competency standard, the pathway, who the learners are, their age group, newly arrived refugees. LLN skills vary, but they do not need support at this level, and they are enrolled in a Certificate 2. You can see the assessment activities, Task 1, Task 2, Task 3. So again, there are 3 tasks, and there are different kinds of evidence that needs to be collected, from multiple choice questions to a paragraph to an observation. So that looks very transparent. Safety for the learner, that's also articulated here on the second page. Health and safety policy here. People to be informed about the assessment, yes, and some provision for assessment supports. Venue hire and equipment, that's also there, very important. And the documentation, there's a good list of documentation that's needed for the assessment. Again, there's an assessment cover sheet, so all the details are there.
I forgot to do this.
Oh, okay.
I want to record this and cut it and put it at the front.
Okay.
Okay, so before we start with this validation, I just want to go through some of the items that we need to agree to before we can go ahead. All right, so do we agree to be honest, respectful, and open-minded?
Yes.
Yep, we, excuse me, do we agree to have equal airtime? So
Yes.
have equal say in this validation? Okay.
Yes.
Do we agree to share diverse opinions?
Yes.
So we have some opinion that we don't agree on, we'll just share it.
Always
Yep.
discuss
We'll
those
go around it,
differences.
yep. And of course, we will, myself as a validation leader, I will need to decide to on the response and mix feedback. Yeah. Okay. And then, do you agree to there will be a copyright on this material?
Sure. Yes.
Copyright being myself as the
Yes.
person who developed it, and that it will be confidential.
Right.
And you being named as participant in this validation, and it will be openly available to anyone with a valid reason to view it. And please advise myself if you prefer to be identified as anonymous on this record.
Sure. Well, I can put my name to it. That's fine.
All right. So you agree? Yep.
Yes.
All right. Just keep going.
Right.
Let's have a look at the assessment, the actual assessment tool now.
Yes.
Yep.
So here's the assessment cover sheet that has all the learner details that are needed, and the learner declares, signs a declaration, learner agreement, and there's details for the assessor to fill in their details as well. That includes signature and date. Also, information for the learner is on this page, which is very comprehensive. How to do the assessment and their rights as a learner.
So if you were someone looking at this document for the first time, you'll be able to have a look and understand.
Yes, because it gives very clear descriptions for each of the tasks, the 3 tasks here. The written question, the spoken interaction, and the observation. So those are all clearly detailed for the learner. So it's quite easy to understand. Also, what the learner has to do to get the result of competent, that's highlighted here. And some other information for the learner as well. There's also
So we've started with task 1.
Yes, task 1. That's task 1 there. The written questions. So task 1 has, the learner has to choose from 4 multiple choice questions, and that's scored. And there's an area for comments and feedback if the learner gives an incorrect result. And also a place for the assessor to sign and date. Also, what's required for satisfactory is highlighted here as well. The learner instruction and what the learner has to do and what the assessor has to do to assess this task. Turning to task 2, the project, spoken interaction. Again, the learner is given a scenario, a story here, and instructions on what they have to do and what is required for satisfactory completion, and some assessor notes as well. There's also a very good clear template for the learner to fill out based on the story that the learner is given. So writing is required in the template, so that's a 2-page template with seven areas for the learner to respond to. Yep. Then to task 3, we have the observation checklist. So what do we have for the observation checklist?
Observation checklist.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
so we have the criteria when the assessor is.
Did I write down task 3 for that one, or did I?
Yes, it's on the other
that
page.
Yeah.
There's just an extra.
Oh no, that's a marking guide.
Yeah.
Hang on.
There is task 3.
There has to be task 3, yeah.
But it doesn't have a title, so I need to add the title.
So add title, yep. I'll
task
just add here. Add title to task 3,
yep.
Otherwise.
Task 2 again.
To task 3, yep, good.
Yep, so that has again learner instructions and what the learner has to do for satisfactory, and then directions for the assessor, and as I said before, an observation checklist for the criteria for the assessor to assess the learner, and then room for assessor comments as well. Task 3, but we'll need to add task 3 type to that one. Then we have the record of the assessment results here for each of the tasks, whether it was satisfactory or not satisfactory, space for comments, and an action plan if the the candidate is not competent, some scope for further action. Yeah, and of course a competency matrix as well.
It hasn't been completed yet,
but this hasn't been completed, so
you
need to go through that and actually tick off the second page of that first page. Yes, the second page no.
Okay. Alright, so just come look at the table again. Does it clearly identify units assessed by code and title?
Yes, FSKOCM07.
Yep.
It's clearly identified.
Does it address all aspects of the competency standards and that's being assessed? Elements, foundation skills, performance, evidence, knowledge, evidence, and conditions?
Yes, that's all in the matrix. So the matrix addresses all of those. So 2 pages in the matrix.
And the competency map is attached.
Yes.
We need to map it. Finish mapping.
Yes, finish mapping that. The second page, the first page is mapped, but the second page hasn't been mapped, so that would be something
include activities
we need to do.
Include activities that reflect realistic workplace requirements.
Yes, so each of the tasks.
Conducted in the classroom. Yeah.
Conducted in the classroom, and it would be similar to a workplace environment.
So it's sort of realistic. I mean,
Simulating.
simulating.
So we're
a
simulating a workplace environment where people have to interact.
Because we actually having it's assessed on based on a story.
Yes.
So it's story based. So it'll be
So it's scenario based learning.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're giving learners a scenario, and they have to work together in the classroom to tell the person in the scenario what they should do, so actually giving advice. So that's simulating a workplace task, giving advice.
Okay, so does it reflect work conditions that include the dimensions of competency in task skills, task management skills, contingency management skills, and job role environment skills?
Yes, so they'll have to prioritise what they're going to tell the person in the scenario first, second, third, etc.
Task management skills is how they
how they prioritise that.
It's shown that in that they do that in the task 2.
Task 2.
Contingency management skills.
If they don't get one part of that, what is an alternative?
Yep. And the job role environment skills, that will be in the task 2 as well.
Yes, also task 3, the observation. That could be because within the workplace you're often observed performing tasks and given feedback. So that task 3 would replicate that situation.
Does it promote collection of evidence that is valid, sufficient, current, and authentic? So it's all tied back to...
well, it's valid because it ties back to the FSK unit, which is a current FSK unit. It hasn't been superseded or deleted from the training.com website. Sufficient, there are 3 tasks, and each task is testing a different skill, assessing a different skill, so written questions, comprehension or knowledge. Task 2, spoken interaction, so it's a speaking task, but there's also the added skill of interpreting a scenario and responding to that scenario, and that's done within a classroom environment, so that's like a current workplace task that it's simulating.
And it's authentic.
Authentic.
There's template for the learner to input their responses, so it is their work. It's carried out in the classroom.
Yes, and supervised by the instructor.
Is it pitched at the correct AQF level? Well, it hasn't been mentioned. I haven't mentioned that it's pitched at the AQF level 3, but it is. But I'll just mention it in the learner guide.
So they're doing certificate 2 for learners.
Yep. But it's actually AQF level 3,
AQF
although
3.
it's level 2. It's
Cert 2, but AQF level 3.
So mention a
vocational pathway.
QF level 3 in the session plan, maybe, and the assessment plan. Yep. Requirement. So I'll just mention that they were tested initially when they enrolled, so we know that they are at this level. But just to mention anyway, in case the future trainer is not aware of the requirement. Is it free of unnecessary assessment tasks?
I think so, because there's 3 tasks, and each task is quite comprehensive.
And they will cover all the items in the matrix.
They're covering the items in the matrix, yes.
Is it flexible? Does it offer a reasonable range of flexible options for how learners complete and submit assessment tasks?
Yes, well, the first one, of course, is a quiz, so that could be delivered online. Students could do it in a supervised environment.
So maybe I mention that in the assessment plan, that there's an option.
There's an option of doing it online under supervision, and even using a mobile device to do the first task. The second task could be done as a video again. So you could give verbal responses to the spoken interaction prompts and video those. So if someone misses the assessment day, it could be done at home and videoed and submitted as a video submission.
Because this is open book. This is
It's an open book, exactly.
Does it include information about available support and guidance if needed?
Well, that's yes. Well, there's directions in the instruction components of each task about guidance and support, but also at the beginning. Yes, this first part of the assessment plan, where there's comprehensive guidance about equipment and documentation, safety, people. So sufficient guidance.
Format instruction in logical and easy to follow way.
Yes.
So looked at that at the start.
Yes, so it's
have been able
cover
to-
sheet, instructions for the learner, principles, guidance. Each task is in order, task 1, task 2, task 3, with the results.
So marking guide
Matrix.
for assessors is clear, complete, and includes all the decision-making rules.
Yes, so at each task there's actually a note to assessors. So, yeah, assessor instructions at each task area, and also the assessment plan and competency matrix and the assessment record. Marking guide for assessors. Top. Yep, so
Good, we got that. So now what about the learners? Are the instructions clear, complete, and includes a clear outline of evidence required for a competent outcome?
yes, so at the beginning of each task, the instructions have a clear guide to the learners. What to do, requirements for satisfactory completion, the competency, unit of competency, what task it is. Yep, it's very clear to learners. It's also assessment information for learners.
And then does it have a clearly identifiable version control?
No, that's not. So that will
again,
need to be added to the bottom. So to make sure that all the assessors are using the same version.
Yep.
So if they're using different versions, it wouldn't be fair to the learners. So that needs to be added to the document.
Okay, does it have mechanisms to record name of assessors, learner, and assessment dates,
Yes.
as well as the learner's written consent to be assessed?
There's a learner declaration.
Assessment cover sheet.
On the assessment cover sheet. There's also the name of the assessor, learner's signature, and all the learner details, USI, etc.
Yep, and the where to record assessment results.
Yes, there's
Yep, so that's towards the end.
towards the end, yes. But also at each stage, each task, there's a results section and feedback comment section as well at the end of each task. And a record of the assessment results before the competency matrix.
And an action plan in case of a not yet competent result.
Yes, so the action plan is there in the record, learner's record.
Yep. And the other information, in capacity for the assessor to know comments and feedback about the learner's performance. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, assesses comments in the learner record and also whether the learner is competent or not.
And any other information we needed to reflect the organisation's policies and procedures. That will be assessment plan.
Yes, that was all in the assessment plan at the beginning. So all the company's policies and procedures here, safety, etc.
Okay, so we're just coming up to the end here. We need to summarise the feedback and recommendations. So, to add the title to task 3, we need to finish the mapping. Mention AQF level.
Yes.
Requirement. We need to mention in assessment plan about flexible options.
Yes.
Flexible options for tasks. And then we need to mention version control.
Version control, yes.
In header footer. Yep. Alright, so we'll just have a quick look at the assessment map, the matrix, and then finish it off. So there's only one page to finish off.
Yes.
Where the
there's actually two areas.
Yep, so starting from foundation skills. Alright, so there's nothing to include in the performance evidence. Evidence of the ability to participate in spoken interactions appropriate to audience and purpose. So let's have a look at the task.
Task 3, observation.
Yep. So participate in spoken interaction, here it is. So that's task 3. Yeah, tick there. Participate in spoken interaction with others at work.
Would that be in task 2 when they have to talk to the scenario because it's done in class?
I'm going to map it back to here.
Oh, okay.
Where is it on here? At work. Here it is. Task 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Using oral communication strategies to communicate effectively. Here it is. That one. Using appropriate grammar to communicate effectively. Yeah. Using appropriate vocabulary to communicate effectively. Vocabulary, it's all there too.
Yes.
Grammar, vocabulary, yeah. Using appropriate enunciation, that will be on there too. Using appropriate non-verbal communication strategies. Seeking feedback on the effectiveness of interaction with others at work. Evaluate own performance. And reviewing own performance. There it is. Yep. Okay, so that's mapped. So apart from that checklist, do you think there's anything else that I need to improve on that tool?
Just a version control and yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, we need to put the task 3 title.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that in there. Yeah. Okay, so what's that? Assessment tool validation record. We need to sign here.
Oh, yes.
Yep, so just sign it there. Yep, thank you for that. Okay,